Hiya, folks, it's Brad again. Hey, we, meaning we, the Angel City Zen Center, of which I'm part, are having a retreat, a Zen and Yoga retreat, and it starts April 5th and ends April 7th of 2019. So we want you to come. Please come. I will leave information below for you to register. In case you want to register, please register early. You get a discount if you register early, and we get a better head count. It's really important for us to be able to tell the Mount Baldy Zen Center how many people are going to come, because we don't own the Mount Baldy Zen Center. It's somebody else's center. We have to tell them how many people are coming, and the earlier we know that, the better, so please come. I put a blog up this week about retreats because the folks at the Angel City Zen Center always want me to promote the retreats. And I went back and looked at an older blog I'd written in 2013, just before, about a couple months before actually, we did our very first retreat at Mount Baldy. And I laid out what I wanted that retreat to be. And it turned out that we've pretty much stuck to my original brief from 6 years ago, and that's the kind of retreats we do. Let me read you a little bit of that. Now, this will be a full-on Zen retreat, also called a sesshin, which means organizing or touching the heart and mind. Participants will be required to maintain silence for most of the 3 days. There will be no cell phones or computer use allowed. The main activity will be zazen. There won't be any workshops or games or weenie and marshmallow roasts. Drug and alcohol use will not be tolerated, but there will be a period of yoga each day, a chanting service each morning, a few talks by me, followed by Q&A sessions, a work period each day, and opportunities for dokusan, which is a one-on-one meeting with me if you so desire, if that's the kind of thing you want to do. And then you also have free time for hiking, and we managed to work that out pretty well. When we were planning this retreat, I talked to a friend of mine about the retreat, and he was telling me all this stuff he thought I could do to make the retreat more appealing, which would be like having more lectures, having fun activities, less zazen, things like that. And I thought, it would be okay to have a retreat like that. You know, it wouldn't be the worst thing people could do to come to a little sort of get-together, a weekend in the mountains with zazen thrown in. And we'd probably get more people, but it wouldn't be a Zen retreat if we did it like that. And one of the things people complain about all the time is that there's this kind of trope, my mind is too busy for meditation. Well, there's a reason your mind is too busy for meditation, and actually it's not too busy for meditation. Everybody's mind is equally busy. I know that's hard to believe because people have this idea, these great saints over there in India or wherever, or Japan, and this idea of Buddha as this supernatural person or whatever. But really, your mind and Buddha's mind are equally busy. The difference between us and Buddha and people like that is we don't give ourselves a break from that. So the reason your mind is so busy or feels so busy is because you're constantly putting unnecessary shit into it. You know, you're constantly stimulating yourself, watching YouTube videos, for example, haha, caught ya, you know, or going on Twitter or whatever, reading newspapers, talking to people and doing all this stuff. The point of a Zen retreat is you go into silence for several days, which is broken only when necessary and only for special things. Like we break the silence for doing the yoga because you have to give instructions, but we don't let the people who are doing yoga talk. Unless they have to, obviously. We don't have any talking between us, no chatting. You can functionally talk. You can say, oh, if your job is to shovel the dirt during work period, you can say, where's the shovel? You know, that kind of thing. But we don't do any chatting or anything. And that's because if you want to go deeply into silence for a period of several days, you have to go deeply into silence for a period of several days. You know, you can't half-ass it. So you have to really do it. And that's why we do the retreats the way we do. And in fact, I think our retreats are actually a little easier than some people because we're not quite as hard about some of this stuff, you know. We allow a little bit of flexibility, but we're serious about it. So we really do it, you know, for realsies. Now, in contrast to this, I've been kind of looking at what other people do with retreats, and I got this email from the Brooklyn Zen Center about an upcoming retreat of theirs, which I thought, oh my God, this is exactly the opposite of what I want to do with a retreat. The email is for what they call the 3-day collective self and collective karma sesshin. And part of their description goes, during this 3-day sesshin, we will be considering the teachings of karma, emptiness, and no harm with regard to collective constructions of self. Okay, go on. A little bit later, they say, in a couple sentences after, when we are asked to look at patriarchy or racial identities and whiteness, we are not pointing toward the individual or the personal, but toward the ways in which we manifest a collective self that has unconscious karmic effects beyond what we can possibly see through a personal lens. I love the gobbledygook of the end of that sentence, because it's just, you hear so much of this like blah, word soup that people who identify as Buddhist stick in their writings, and I'm just like, oh my God. But to me, the idea of using the time of a Zen sesshin to talk about racial identity and the patriarchy and whiteness, my God, how far can you possibly stray from the actual purpose of doing a retreat, a sesshin? Which is not to say that people shouldn't talk about these things. I mean, I actually talk a lot about race with friends of mine. I tend to avoid people who use words like whiteness and the patriarchy, because as soon as you use words like that, you're pushing a political agenda. Those are specifically politically weighted words. But the concept of what it means to be a white person, that's an interesting topic to talk about, and the concept of whether or not the patriarchy exists and what that means, that's an interesting thing. So yeah, there's a place for that, but not at a Zen retreat. At a Zen retreat, this is just my opinion, it should be focused on the core teachings of the Zen lineage. It is really rare and precious to get a bunch of people together who not only want to hear about Dogen or people like Dogen, but want to do the practice that Dogen did and that Dogen taught. So I think it's really important to keep the focus on that, because that's what we've agreed to do, and because, as I said, it's so hard to find people who want to do this. Whereas if you want to talk about racial identity and whiteness and the patriarchy, my God, just go anywhere and talk about that. Go to any coffee shop in Silver Lake and you'll find 1,000 people who want to talk about that, or the whole room, however many people are in the coffee shop, they'll all want to talk about it. But get them talking about Dogen? No way. So that, I think, is really important. I'm going to be doing at least six sesshins this year of varying length, mostly 3 or 5 days, and the list is available on the events page at hardcorezen.info if you want to see where I'm going. But all of these, every one of them will have several lecture periods, and I will do a different lecture each time. I'm kind of picky about that. I don't like to repeat myself. But I swear, I know for sure I will never run out of material from the tradition so much that I'll have to be looking at social media for clues about what to talk to. That would seem just pathetic to me. So you're not going to get stuff that you can get on any random Huffington Post article or any I don't know, other YouTube video. I'm going to talk about really solid stuff, and I want the discussion to be about that and to stay focused on that. So that's what I can promise you from a retreat I lead, is we won't be talking about whiteness and the patriarchy and all that stuff. We're going to be talking about Dogen. We're going to be talking about Zen. And I wish more retreats were like that. I don't know how many are like this Brooklyn Zen Center thing, but it just strikes me that the Brooklyn Zen Center model is becoming more and more prevalent, and I don't want us to succumb to that ever. So that's real important to me. So please join the retreat April 5th through 7th, 2019. We need all the folks we can get. The more the merrier. Come and it'll be good, and a good time is guaranteed for all. And if you want to donate to me, I actually don't get paid for these retreats, not the ones at Mount Baldy anyway. I donate the money back to the center because I know they need it. But if you want to donate some to me, then donate via the PayPal and Patreon links, which are not in my lap, but which are down below this video description. See you later. Bye.